Update 3. I suspected my wife was planning a divorce, so I moved my assets. 2 weeks later, she filed, but I was. That night, I made sure everything was solid. I went over the paperwork again, double-checking every detail of the asset transfers to my mom, the house, the savings, the investments. Everything was legally in her name now, locked in a trust that couldn't be contested. I even called her to confirm she had all the documentation on her end. 2 weeks went by, and things seemed normal, too normal, actually. She was acting more affectionate, even initiating conversations about random stuff like work or what we should eat for dinner. It threw me off because, for months, she'd been distant, avoiding anything deeper than surface-level talk. Part of me started to wonder if I'd been overreacting all along. Maybe the weird behavior was just stress or something I couldn't understand. But then, on a random Friday night, she sat me down on the couch, turned off the TV, and said, "We need to talk." My stomach immediately dropped. I knew what was coming before she even said it. "I think we should get a divorce," she said, her tone so calm it felt rehearsed. It wasn't angry, and it wasn't emotional, it was just cold, like she was telling me we'd run out of milk. I stared at her, unsure how to respond, as she launched into her reasoning. She talked about needing space, wanting to figure herself out, feeling like she'd lost her identity in the marriage, standard breakup lines that didn't actually explain anything. But then she said something that hit differently. "You know, I've made a lot of sacrifices for you over the years, and I don't think you really appreciate them. I deserve more." That last part stung. It wasn't just about her wanting out, it was about her framing this like I owed her something, that all of this was my fault, and she was just claiming what was rightfully hers. I sat there, trying to process what she was saying, but a new question kept bubbling to the surface. Why now? Then she dropped a line that made everything start to click. "A friend of mine has been helping me see things more clearly," she said, not meeting my eyes. "A friend?" I stayed quiet, letting her talk, but my mind was racing. Who was this friend? Why were they involved in my marriage? The way she said it wasn't casual, it sounded like someone had been hyping her up, convincing her that leaving me wasn't just an option, but some kind of strategy she needed to execute. And the more she talked about how she deserved more because of her sacrifices, the more I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Sacrifices? What sacrifices? She had been happy with me, or at least that's what she always said. I'd worked hard to give her the life she wanted, and I wasn't just talking about money. When she wanted to move closer to her job, I agreed, even though it meant a longer commute for me. When she wanted to take that expensive yoga retreat last year, I made sure we budgeted for it, even skipping a vacation I'd been looking forward to so she could go. I supported her when she switched careers twice, telling her it was okay to take the leap because I wanted her to be happy. I thought being a good husband meant putting her first whenever I could. And it wasn't like I was some inattentive, distant partner. I showed up. I remembered anniversaries and random little things she mentioned liking. I planned date nights when she said she was feeling stuck in a rut. I listened to her vent about work, her friends, her family. I didn't always get it right, but I always tried. That's what made her "I deserve more" line sting so much. I didn't buy it, not for a second. She wasn't unhappy because of anything I did or didn't do. She was unhappy because something had changed in her. Maybe it was this friend she kept bringing up, maybe it was something else. But the person sitting in front of me now wasn't the woman I married, and I wasn't going to let her rewrite the story of our marriage to suit her new narrative. I didn't press her in the moment. Instead, I nodded and said something neutral like, "If that's how you feel, I guess we should figure out the next steps." She looked surprised that I wasn't arguing or begging her to stay, but I didn't care. My focus had already shifted. I needed to know who or what was behind this sudden, calculated shift in her behavior. This wasn't just her waking up one day and deciding she wanted out. This was something bigger, and I wasn't going to let it blindside me any more than it already had. After that conversation, she moved into her own apartment, and by Monday, I got the divorce papers. And let me tell you, they weren't just about ending the relationship, they were about taking everything, half the house, my savings, my investments, the car. She wanted all of it, plus some vague clause about spousal support that made no sense given her solid income. It was like she was swinging for the fences, expecting me to roll over and hand her everything I'd worked for. At first, I thought it was just her being vindictive, but the way she'd framed her demands, so detailed and aggressive, made me realize there was someone coaching her through this. So I started digging. It wasn't like I could just ask her who she'd been talking to, so I had to get creative. I started with her social media. She hadn't blocked me, and while she didn't post often, I went through her tagged photos and comments, looking for anyone new. That's when I noticed a pattern. Someone named Jake kept liking and commenting on her posts. Nothing inappropriate, just enough to make me pause. I clicked his profile. It was public. He didn't seem like much at first glance, a guy in his 30s who worked in marketing, judging by his bio. But as I scrolled through, I noticed something strange. He'd posted a photo at the same cafe I'd seen her at weeks ago, on the same day I overheard her talking about starting fresh. My stomach churned as I kept scrolling. There were more subtle hints, a comment on one of her posts saying, "You've got this," and a selfie he'd posted from what looked like her new apartment. None of it was concrete proof, but it was enough to make me suspicious. I wasn't sure what to do with this information, but I knew I couldn't just sit there and wait for answers to fall into my lap. Her mention of a friend helping her through things had stuck with me, and I needed to know who it was.